it wasn't like it was one person who went nuts tonight and that's what got us the win. There were a lot of people that had their moments. So a fun team win. I'm happy for the guys.
I asked you about the zone defense last night, and now can I ask about the ball denial stuff? Why is that the look that you wanted to go to tonight and against last night too, and what makes that work?
Again, it's about trying to disrupt the rhythm of the game. We've got some guys defensively that are bought into talking, when they're not the person that's denying. And it just makes the other team have to do something different. I think the best players in the league, when they play against man-to-man defense, you can change the coverage, but they've seen them all. And they do find the rhythm of the game when you show them similar looks over and over again. So for us, we think that toggling our defense between a couple of things is good for our group right now. It's able to, disrupt the rhythm of the game a little bit, which is really what we're trying to do. I think I've said to you guys before, I really think that outside of, I guess, verticality, like the only thing in the NBA that benefits the defense is the shot clock. And so we need to try to maximize that part of the game, and by being a little bit disruptive mentally, we can eat up a couple of seconds of each possession by trying to make them run something different. The team's bought into it. I also think that part of it is it's the personnel that we have. I think Collin, Chris, those guys are very good when they're on assignment. Like, this is my responsibility, and everybody else sort of helps behind them. It keeps the other team from getting to pick on different matchups. It's something we've been working on a bit, and the guys have been executing it pretty well, flying around.
I see you kind of jumping up, calling the defense every play. Do you feel confident, more confident than you did earlier on in the year, that guys are going to pick that up and adjust and be able to play that defense more quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. It takes a little bit of work to be able to switch between some things in a game, because you're not just changing your mindset from offense to defense. It's now what defense. And so the guys have done a really good job communicating, because, again, I'm yelling it out, but they also kind of echo the call and help each other get organized in terms of where they're supposed to be. So yeah, it's been fun. It's fun to play that way. The guys are really engaged. I think it almost heightens their awareness a little bit, because they start to look for the call, like, what are we doing right now? So yeah, it's been pretty good so far. There's obviously tons of things technically that we can clean up in it. It's not perfect by any stretch, but it's been pretty effective for us so far.
You talked about how Walker and he's talked about it too, how his timing was just like a little bit behind through the first few weeks of the season. Mm-hmm. Are you seeing anything different when he has a night like tonight, other than just him like making the decision a second earlier? Is there anything different that he's doing?
I think part of the committing earlier is Walker has a really he has a bright defensive mind, and there's times almost that he's like trying to bait people. And I think that's where he's gotten himself in trouble, is that he's kind of overthinking it a little bit. And so he ends up being a half second late because he's trying to almost like lure them in. And, my message to Walker is that you're going to block plenty of shots. Like, I don't worry about the stats of your blocks. But what I am concerned about is, like, are there 2 or 3 shots in a game, 4 or 5 shots in a game that you can just deter, that they don't even shoot because you're there early? And you'll still end up getting block shots, because as we see with our team and every team in the league, no team makes perfect rim decisions. There's times that people challenge bigs at the rim all the time. So I think he's just a little bit more trusting of what's going on behind him now. He's going a step earlier, and obviously 7 blocks. He did a great job tonight.
I think first through third quarter, I think they had 34 points in the paint, which is obviously very good. Mm-hmm. Is that a product of the zone and what you were able to do on the outside, or was it what maybe Walker was doing on the inside?
It's both. It's definitely both. I mean, the defenses that we're playing, some of the priority is to try to eliminate some dribble penetration. But then when you do play those types of defenses, you're trying to have as many situations as possible where your bigger players are down around the basket and they don't get stretched out to the perimeter. So Walker did a great job of cleaning up a lot of messes tonight. I mean, he had 7 blocks. I'm sure there's a couple of other plays at the rim that were very much his defense, why they didn't score. And he doesn't get credit for a block on that. But, yeah, it's a little bit of both.
Simo was nearly perfect tonight. Just, yeah.
Always room for improvement.
Always. Talk about just what his growth this season, what has that meant to this team, kind of help stabilize the lineup as injuries have occurred?
Yeah, it's massive for us. He's very competitive. He has more, I've said this a bunch, I feel like, but he has more athleticism. He has more size than you think. And for our team, like, we need that presence on the wing, and he's done a really good job. I think he's not necessarily changing our opinion internally of him, but he may be changing a lot of people's opinions externally in terms of the type of player he is. He is a good shooter. He's not a shooter. Yeah. He cuts, he runs, he guards, he's athletic. Like, it's not just catch and shoot. And so I think it's been great for everybody to see what we've seen every day that he's been here. Like, when we practice training camp, scrimmages, all last season, we got some glimpses of him last year, but I think this role that he's been in lately has allowed him to show a lot more of what he can do night to night.
Was there a specific moment where, it might be a question for him, where it just kind of clicked, that makes sense, where it turned on, where like that confidence took that extra step?
That's definitely, I wouldn't want to speak for Simo. I will say that I've been around a lot of international players that have come from Europe to the U.S., and there's a lot that goes with that, not just on the court. You're moving your family across the world to a place where they don't know anyone. There can be a language barrier. If you have kids, if you have a wife, there's a lot of things that go into that could be unsettling just kind of on the home front. I could imagine that if my family and I moved to Italy tomorrow, the first 6 months would be weird. It would be hard. And so as much as I would like to separate work and home, it doesn't work like that. I'm still one human being, and if that's in the back of your head, it impacts you. And so I think he's just comfortable in Utah right now. I think he's comfortable with the whole thing. He knows everybody a lot better. His family's comfortable. So, as far as when the basketball part clicked, that would be a question for Simo, but I feel like he's just feeling better about kind of the whole situation at this point.
You always say that there's no simulating in-game stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? That the game is so much different. And I know that what you've seen from Simo behind the scenes, practices, scrimmages, etc., we haven't seen that. But what have you learned about him with the increased role and being able to actually see him live?
Well, I think there was always kind of the in theory piece of me that's like, maybe he could be a better perimeter defender than people think, and we were almost forced in certain situations to put him in that spot, and I'm glad that we were, because I think I've learned that he's a better perimeter defender than I gave him credit for. Part of it is the things we talked about earlier, athleticism and length and all that stuff, but then part of it is he's just tough. He doesn't stop. He gets elbowed in the face. He keeps playing. He's a really, really tough dude. So I'm happy for him. He should feel good about where he's at right now.
The last game that you played here in Portland seemed to be like a little bit of a turning point in the season. Mm-hmm. Blown out by 16, and you just asked him to work hard and pass the ball. How would you assess kind of the corner that maybe is being turned now after that moment?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of work behind the scenes by our team to address some of the issues that we've had early in the season, and tonight was a good reflection of the guys understanding that they're a team. And I think the offense and the defense aren't separate. How you play on offense does impact your defense, and I think the way the ball's moving around right now, it's giving everybody a lot of energy. And then their commitment to defense is so much different because they feel like they're involved in the game. I joke with our staff all the time, like at a childhood level, like everybody says like the guys want to shoot. It's like, no, they just want to touch the ball. That's why when you go to like a kid's game, they all run towards the ball. Like they just want to touch it. And so like if the guys feel like they're all involved in the game, they'll do all the other little things you ask them to do. If you just say stand in the corner and wait, it's hard. That's a hard way to play basketball because it's unnatural for a lot of these guys. So, they're committed to playing as a team. They've got a really good energy about them right now. They're all dug in together. They're not making excuses. They're putting in a lot of work, offensively, defensively. They're letting us coach them hard. Nobody's making excuses. So, on we go.
Taylor is doing so much better at some of the little things, like just maybe the big things, being in the right place, running, effort, all that kind of stuff that we maybe didn't see as much in preseason. What's kind of the next step for him that you want to see or continue to see him develop?
Yeah, I think, obviously his life right now offensively is off the ball. And so it becomes about decision-making in terms of what shots you shoot, when to pass, when to shoot, when to drive. And those things, again, they're all going to take a lot of reps because he's doing a lot of hard work in the G League, but everything's a little bit faster in the NBA. The defenders are a little bit bigger in the NBA. Those windows close a little bit quicker in the NBA. So, I think for him it's going to be that decision-making offensively. And then defensively, I think he knows what he's doing. He has good instincts. It's going to be about kind of opening up his voice a little bit so that he can communicate the coverages a little bit better. Because I do think that we're seeing some really, really good kind of foundational instincts from Taylor on the defensive end. And now to kind of become a part of the team defense, you have to be a part of the conversation. And so he opening up his voice a little bit is kind of the next step on that end.
Thanks.